Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Puck and Stuff podcast, presented by, well, A Man Can Dream.
Well, I'm not dreaming anymore because the playoffs have finally come. It's our first.
Let's go.
Today, you guys are getting our first ever playoff predictions.
NHL edition.
Hell yeah,
predictions.
boys.
Pretty good.
We're gonna have a good one.
On the video here, you can see we got some new jerseys up here.
Jersey wall.
Rangers, Flames Away, which is the Heritage Classic. Oilers, Royal. Trying to connect them here. You know, Oilers are playing the Kings, right? And the Rangers are playing the Pens, so it's pretty good. By the way, if you guys are wondering why my voice sounds crazy, I don't know what I did to my voice, but I went to work one day and then came back and went back the next day, and I was like, oh, my voice is like dead. Well, so I don't know what's up with it, but we'll have to bear with it, okay? So hopefully it's not too raspy.
We were partying pretty hard as well, so that might be a decent reason.
Not just that, but I don't know, man. Too much yelling or something.
Too much yelling.
Anyways, how are you doing today, good sir?
Yeah, not too bad. I finally hit big boy age. I'm finally 20.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I kind of feel old, but
happy birthday for the 20th time.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo. But anyways, back to the whole thingamajig of hockey. We do have another retirement to announce, and it's Dustin Brown from the Los Angeles Kings. He's been with them for a very long time. He got drafted in 2003, 13th overall pick by the LA Kings. So he's been a King all his life, and he's going to retire as a King. Nice. So good for him. I do have some career stats on him. And if we're just counting regular, I guess, NHL career, he's played 1,296 games. He has 325 goals with 387 assists, putting up 712 points with a negative 36 plus minus. Sure. Not pretty plus minus for a career.
You know what? I think Dustin Brown, when you really think about it, he's won the 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
What else do you have to say? There's
fair.
Leadership there. You can tell the team loves him. I got to really respect what Vancouver did. I think that was their last game of the regular season. Yep. They shook his hand and everything. Of course, you know, he's playing in the playoffs, so they'll play till they lose in the playoffs, or however that goes with LA.
Yeah, for sure.
So
good career.
But yeah, and it's like just another one of those players that's leaving the league who we grew up with watching. So it's, you know, we're at that age, right, where all those players are kind of moving on, retiring. It's kind of sad, but
yeah,
you know what? Things are looking bright in LA.
Well, that's a good
have
thing.
A lot of we'll talk about that later, of course, with our prediction with that Edmonton LA series. But I think a lot of it is gonna really entail. There's a lot of young players there that are definitely making LA look something. So I think a similar thing to with how Getzlaf was.
Yeah.
These teams are retooling, so it's like it's my time to move on. You know, organizations got to move on. So.
Jeez, it's gonna feel so weird seeing so many teams with players we've grew up watching doing that. That's going to feel so weird. Going to feel older. But anyways, I think we should jump right into our first ever Stanley Cup playoff predictions. Tristan,
sure.
I'll let you go first on our first team. I'll give your predictions and your reasonings and everything.
So
go ahead.
I want to start with the East. This East, these matchups are crazy. All these are.
Oh my God.
The first one I want to start with is the Florida Panthers versus the Washington Capitals.
Good series.
Now, for me, I have this game going to 6 games for Florida.
Why is that?
So, I think Florida's scoring and their forward depth has been that's been shown this season has been absolutely outstanding. They are outscoring at mass, and I really think that can go over the top against the Capitals. And nothing against the Capitals, but I just see them diminishing a little bit. I don't know as well. Maybe I'm not as confident in, say, with Vanacek.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And the kind of Washington's goalie tandem. But pretty much as well is I also wrote some positives and minuses. So I guess will kind of like give me more of a better explanation as to how I feel about these matchups. So with Washington, if they're going to win the series for, say, what's their positive? Star power, right? So Ovechkin, right? And your Kuznetsov. Even John Carlson will have to have some strong defensive game as well. Nick Backstrom, right? Assist master, 9,000.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to have that as well. I was saying, though, for them, they're negative. So Ovi's supposed to be day-to-day, but if you don't have him or doesn't show up, right, Ovechkin's really still that kind of like key piece. So I was going to say that as well. As well, like I said, goaltending, nothing against the goaltending tandem, but just don't think it can be as strong. But flip side, Florida, their scoring is their positive, right? Mm-hmm. They have a lot of depth scoring. I think, what was it, 7 or 8 20-goal scorers on the team? Some crazy thing like that. Pretty close to it. So that's a lot. But I was going to say, I'm going to say they're negative. No Aaron Ekblad. And that really actually affects their defensive depth as well as goaltending. Yeah. So the reason why I say this is because we know that Sergei Bobrovsky is known to kind of not pull his weight for, say, in playoff games that matter. So we'll have to see how that works out. But ultimately, I do think with Florida scoring, and I feel like their defense won't have a problem with Washington, but they'll have a little bit, of course, right? That top line scores at will. Yeah. But I think Florida has it in the bag for 6.
Fair enough, for sure. I'm actually kind of going to agree with you in this situation. I think this series goes to 7 in Florida's favor. Over the regular season, Florida has versed the Capitals twice, and they took both games. So obviously, you're kind of right. The Capitals do have that star power, and Ovi is on a day-to-day. If he stays on a day-to-day, I would be a little bit more concerned about the Capitals for sure. And they kind of lack forward depth because it's just that star power and those not crazy depth for the Capitals. And then if you look at Florida, you're totally right with just endless scoring on the forward pairs. Like, that depth is insane. One of the best depth forward teams in the NHL right now. And yeah, the biggest negative for Florida right now is their lack of defensive depth with Aaron Ekblad on long-term injury right now. And that's a big loss because Aaron Ekblad's like a big key piece for that defensive all around. And you made a really good point. You made a really good point with Bobrovsky, that saying he doesn't come up when you need him the most. And that's actually a very fair point with how you see him against his playoff record against most teams, especially when he was with Columbus. Yeah. So that's a huge factor. And I still think Florida takes it, though. I think you can't beat Florida this year. They're going far, and that's what I personally think. It's been how many years? Like, I think they said it was 1994 since they've been to the playoffs. Oh, it would have been
1996.
96. Yeah. It was 96 since last
It's funny because they went to the finals that year. And the finals that a lot of people are saying, Colorado, Florida. So it could be a rematch of that. Possibility.
It is a possibility.
Can't say anything too much.
It is a possibility. Tristan, I'll let you jump over to our next
Cool, so the next one. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Blue Jays. Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, Blue Jays!
Let's go. Yeah, Blue Jays it seems like their pitching might be fixed a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but anyways. So this series, I'm going to get slandered for this. I say Toronto in 7. Now, this is going to be something. So let me go through the positive and negatives. For Toronto, your Matthews, all right? That dude is going to have to go off. That first line is going to have to go off, right? If Matthews is going to score the same he's been doing in the regular season, oh my goodness, that's terrifying.
Oh, 100%.
Now, to me, they're negative. I don't have any whatever with Jack Campbell in this. I don't have any lost hope in Jack Campbell in this scenario. I actually think that he's going to actually come on top. I think he might actually play well with the pressure, I'd say. But I find their defense, and now this is funny, I say this because their defense has increased and gotten better with the Giordano acquisition, and I know that. But it's always been the problem. And this is why Florida is always, this season has that kind of, maybe not to win the cup or whatever. Because they can outscore you, but in games when it's gritty and it's a 3-2 game, you usually don't win those games. Yeah. So I think that's what they're going to have to really dig down in and just, play a good defensive structured hockey game, right? Get a few goals and then just shut down the fort, right? Yeah. That's what I think. Tampa Bay. I'm gonna say their positive is gonna be Vasilevsky, right? Easily
One of the best goaltenders
best
in the league right now. So
either number 1 or number 2 or number 3. Like there's no choice of putting it somewhere else. So I say Vasilevsky, and I have no doubt that Vasilevsky's going to steal a game or two because he seems to always do it. And Tampa Bay, right, is one of those teams that can outscore you, outdefend you, and out-goaltender you. Now, to me, they're negative, and why I think they lose. I see a little bit of a Stanley Cup hangover, in my opinion. I know that they were going on a bit of a coming back up. They had a bit of a losing streak and then kind of back up at the end of the season. From what I've watched them this season, I don't see them as strong as last year, the year before. Of course, that's kind of iffy with, everything's asterisked in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But hey, I could be wrong. That's why I put it to 7, because it could go either way. Because Tampa does have crazy, like I said, defensemen and forward depth. Maybe their forward depth is lacking a little bit more than last year, and maybe that's why I'm thinking Toronto.
Yeah.
Tampa has less of a success rate in my eyes.
Yeah. I was actually going to say, obviously Tampa's depth wasn't as elite as it was to about a year ago, but it's still there for sure. And I'm kind of on the opposite side. I think Tampa takes this in 7. I truly do, because in the regular season, they played 4 games against each other, and they both tied up 2-2. This is probably going to be the one of the crazier series for the first round for sure.
I'm gonna asterisk it. It's probably one of those series that I try and watch every game.
Oh yeah, this is
along
one
with
of those
the
series.
Flames. Yeah.
This is one of those series this first round that you want to watch for sure. And you kind of narrowed it down really simple for me because, if you look at Tampa themselves, it's all around play. It's they've got depth and star power everywhere, goaltending, defensemen, forwards. It's insane. And obviously they've won the Cup the last 2 years. It makes completely more sense than any. And it's really hard to find a true negative because, Stanley Cup hangover, I don't agree with it, but I kind of get what you mean when you're throwing it out there. Yeah. It is a possibility that can happen, and they kind of have shown glimpses of it through the regular season, especially the last half. Mm-hmm. But then you look at Toronto, and yes, their biggest positive is their scoring because Austin Matthews has gone off this season. He put up, what was it? Did he stop at 60 or did he get?
I think it was just 60. Which is crazy. It was funny enough the first one to score 60 since Steven Stamkos in 2012, right?
Yeah,
so
I heard about that.
It's funny how it's Toronto, Tampa. Who wins? The blue and white team does.
Did you hear Stamkos actually predicted the next one to do it was Matthews?
Yeah, he did.
That was funny. But I think you already said it, but I think Toronto's biggest negative here is either going to be their goaltending or their defense. Yes, they have made that big improvement with Mark Giordano and the defensive line, which is a great piece for sure, especially when you're looking at veteran leadership and a bit of playoff experience. But it really goes down to that and your goaltending. To see if Jack Campbell can handle that pressure during playoffs and put the team on his back like so many of Toronto's goaltenders have before, like Frederik Andersen through those series. He was insane.
He got too much scrutiny.
Yeah.
He saved so many. He was the reason why they went to 7 games half the time.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Most of those Boston series, it was him carrying for most of it. And I think that's going to be your biggest factor against a team like Tampa. But I think Toronto can't handle it. And plus with their record of first rounds in the last few years, I still think Tampa takes it because it's Tampa. Nothing against Toronto, but unless your goaltending and D-men can handle that, it's Tampa. For sure. Tristan, what you got on Boston and Carolina?
Yeah, okay, so this one, we're going to see a few of these Game 7s, but I also say this series is going to go to 7 games. Let me take a sip of water here before my voice croaks.
Me too.
H2O. All right.
Sponsored by water.
Sponsored by H2O. Yes. Carolina, Boston. I say Carolina in 7. Boston's had a bit of a weird year. I thought Taylor Hall would have more of an impact. He hasn't.
Taylor Hall's always been like that, though. Everyone thinks he's going to have that impact.
He had a really good season with New Jersey, and I'm like, New Jersey, I don't know, it was overachieving, but I really thought because of that New Jersey was going somewhere. It's just going to be a little more time for them, of course, but
Yeah.
the reason why I talk about that is because, okay, so let's go into positives and negatives. Boston, for me, it's their top line is what's going to win them, right? Marchand, Pasternak, and Bergeron. They are aging, of course, but they still have that talent and skill. And they have all the experience in the world in the playoffs too. So, right, went to the Cup Finals in 2019. And that's going to help a lot. So I think there's going to be that. Have the same core, right? McAvoy's still there. Of course, Krug isn't, but on the back end, Grzelcyk, right, was still there. Different goalies, but similar in the sense. Now, they're negative. I said back end. I don't have a problem with and with the back end. I'm not talking about goalies, of course, but I'm just going to quickly mention goalies. I don't think Allmark or Swayman are going to have too big of a problem, but it's going to be a 1A, 1B. But it's not the greatest 1A, 1B combo, I would say, even in the playoffs right now. So that would be something. But their D, I guess that's just a team. I mean, Hampus Lindholm's there, so there's that positive. But I think I'm going to say that if the top line doesn't perform and the defense just isn't at A plus, at their A plus game, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Carolina, they have their problems too, but Freddie Anderson is crazy. What a great pickup.
Oh, wow.
It was so weird when it was like, why isn't Nedeljkovic gone? And then they got Anderson. It's like, okay, cool. Anderson, man, shows that he is a top 5 goalie in the league. Absolutely phenomenal. He should be in there for the Vezina.
Yeah,
him,
for sure.
Along with Igor and Markstrom, in my opinion. I find their scoring might be a problem. It's a possibility. There might be some scoring problems. So if there's no scoring depth, like if all 4 lines aren't scoring goals, I can see that being their negative. But the reason why I say 7 to Carolina is that Boston just hasn't completely shook me too much this year. It's funny, but of course the second half has been a lot better. So there's that too. But I can honestly see Carolina just having maybe the momentum shift and just kind of taking that, maybe win a few games early. And just taking it all the way to 7. But it'll be a bloodbath. I don't think these teams like each other, so
no, for sure.
It'll be good.
For sure. So through the regular season, Carolina has taken every game. They've played 3 games against each other. Carolina took them all. You're right. Boston does have that little bit of more star power, especially that first line. And the veteran leadership, for sure. They've all been to the finals. They know what it takes and everything, for sure. But I think Boston's biggest negative here is goaltending. And yeah, you're right about defensive, but they have upgraded that since the trade deadline. But you're going into playoffs without an elite goaltender like Tuukka Rask in net. And this is the first time Boston is going through that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he retired, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, he did. It was the injury. He tried to play a game, and then it just didn't work.
He was done.
He was
exactly.
Like, done.
And yeah, Boston is going into a situation with that elite goaltender like him, and that is tough because Carolina has the depth forward, and it's pretty insane. It's not crazy star power, but it's young development depth that's coming up, and it's looking scary for sure. And Carolina has depth all around if you really look at it, defensive wise, forward wise, and you have the Vezina caliber goaltender. I said Carolina in 6 games because I looked at that situation and I'm like, dude, I could see Carolina sweeping this team.
Oh yeah, hey.
Yeah, I could even call that, but I'm going with my safe choice and go 6 because I know Boston won't just let that happen.
Yeah.
If they do, wow, that's very shocking, but I can't. I think it's still 6.
For sure.
Okay, we're moving on to Pittsburgh versus the New York
Rangers. This one, I also want to asterisk. I have a feeling this series is going to be something else.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because Pens and the Rangers have storied franchises, but I don't know why this series intrigues me.
It is.
I'm going to say Pens in 7. Like I said, a lot of 7 games here. But I really think these teams are hungry this year. I think they really want to, shoot that shot for the cup. So why Pens in 7? Rangers have had the better record all season, and if you're correct, and if I'm correct, the Rangers have beat them in the regular season, right?
Yes, they've beaten them. Out of the 4 games that Pittsburgh and the Rangers have played, the Rangers have taken 3 out of the 4.
So maybe a little bit of this just in the gut feeling where you're like, I feel like this team, I have a feeling Pittsburgh's going to be a dark horse and they're going to come out of nowhere and they're going to win a few rounds.
Yep.
So with the Pens, I'll go into their positives and negatives. I said positive throwback to 2017. What I meant by that was if you can literally get Crosby, Malkin, and Gensel going, right? Scoring at will, getting into the play and getting into pretty much every scoring a chance. Yeah, right? Like Crosby, even though he was injured, he 70 points this season?
I'm pretty sure.
Way over a point per game. No one said anything, but it's crazy, right? And Gensel's shown that he can play without Crosby. Malkin still is that big body. And, of course, they have additions like Rickard Rakell. And Jeff Carter, man, he's clutch. Jeff Carter is a clutch man, and he is like proven that he can still play in the league. He's worth the contract right now.
Just by the way, Crosby played 69 games and put up 84 points.
Yeah, that's
if he played 20 more games, he probably would have.
That's crazy. He probably would have been another 100-point player. Probably same amount of points as Kachuk, most likely, or something.
Probably, maybe even more.
So, that's why I say throwback to 2017. They're negative. I'm going to say weak goalie performance. I'm not saying, because Tristan Jarry is a great goaltender, he has proven himself a lot. But I think if they have weak performances in the series, if the goalie becomes the problem, that'd be something. I'm just trying to think. Tristan Jarry and oh my goodness, I can't think. Anyways, so the Rangers. Speaking of goalies, they're positive. Shesterkin, right? He's going to win the Vezina. We know this. Well-deserved. Bit of a slump this month, but I think we're all going to look over it because he ultimately is the same person, of course, of what he was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't think his performance was... I bet you the competition will help him kind of sustain himself. And they have a great team, right?
They do.
They got a lot of forward scoring. Even their defense... But for me, I said their defensive depth is going to be their negative, which is weird, right? Because we talk about it, but it's something to me that says that their forward group is better than their defensive depth.
That's very true.
Maybe it's just because besides the Adam Fox pairing, I don't feel too worried about their defense. I find Ryan Reeves really helps him. He's going to help him a lot in the playoffs for sure.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait
I have a feeling the Pens are going to be a dark horse. It's funny because I'm really giving a lot of positive to New York, even though I'm saying they lose. But I just feel like it's going to be a series that just goes so tight. 3-2, 4-2, 3-2 games, 4-2 games, whatever. Overtime wins, all that stuff. A lot of it's going to be based on the goaltending. That's why I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I just think Penguins are going to squeak one. They're going to squeak one. That's how I see it.
I think you made me change my pick.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I got to disagree with you. I think the Rangers take it in 7.
Because you were going to say the same thing.
I was going to say the same thing, but thinking about it now, I'm like,
voice crack.
This is probably one of those also really gritty series as well. Because, Pittsburgh is like they're third, right? Just looking at all around, Pittsburgh, yes, does have the star power with Crosby, Malkin, and Getsaw. This team, that first line's still deadly, and they still have the veteran leadership in every part. And Tristan Jarry as a goalie right now is great for them. But just looking how the Rangers are with Igor. So if Igor plays how he's been in net in the playoffs, I think it's over. Nothing will probably stop him. And your forward depth with Panarin, and you have all those young guys going off lately with the depth and everything. It looks great. And, I think the Rangers take that. Nothing against Pittsburgh. I could totally see them becoming a dark horse as well in this.
On paper right now, the Rangers are the better team.
Yeah. And looking how they played over the season as well, and just... there's so many factors. That's why I love talking about hockey like this in playoffs, because you never truly know. You could be completely wrong. You could be completely wrong.
I hope I'm pretty much all these. I hope I'm wrong. I don't care. I don't care really who wins. I just want to watch,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we do this, because we got to give our opinions and see how wrong we truly are.
And then see how many people on TikTok are going to be like, your opinion's wrong.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
That's how we'll respond to it. Yeah, we'll know.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think that's all of them for the East. We're going to jump over to the West. Tristan, can I just start?
You can start it.
You okay if I
So
start?
I'm thinking what you should do is that we should put our team series last.
Series last?
Yeah, but
okay.
we just start wherever you want to go.
I'm going to start off with the Central then.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay, so our first Central matchup is going to be Minnesota versus St. Louis. And I personally think St. Louis takes it in 5. Because if you look at if you looked at the series, the regular season series between them, St. Louis took them all. Mm-hmm. It killed them. And Minnesota has really a lot of depth injuries right now because what were the injuries you were saying?
Jared Spurgeon, so their captain, Matt Dumba.
Yeah.
And Matt Zuccarello, so their top right winger.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of loss for...
Or is he center? I can't remember what position he plays on the line, but yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds like Minnesota might be having a lot of injuries. I don't know if they're going to be coming back for playoffs or anything, but if you look at St. Louis for sure, they kind of look like the more put together team because they still have that veteran leadership that went to the Cup in 2019 and won. Yeah. And you have a really good goalie tandem in the A and B options, but I'm pretty sure... I don't know if they're going to play Bennington at all. Are they?
I think it's going to be Husso. I'll actually get into that when I talk about mine, but yeah, I think it's Husso.
Yeah, so if you look at St. Louis, I think they're just more of a complete team. I think they win this in 5 games. Like, nothing against Minnesota. Minnesota has a great future with Kaprizov for sure there, but I think they need more pieces and these injuries to come back.
More additions.
At least have a chance in this series for sure. But I'll let you have your say.
So for me, I'm saying Minnesota. I'm saying it in 7. I think these teams are very, very equal this season. Even though St. Louis has won all their games, I really think they're equal in a lot of the positions. I'll start with St. Louis. So I said their positive is Ville Husso. He's pulling the Jordan Binnington on Jordan Binnington, right?
Yep.
Comes out of nowhere, but
comes
to
up.
The new team, comes up, steals the show. Binnington hasn't been the same for a little bit here. And I love how the St. Louis looks with Husso. Excuse me. So, their negative, though, I feel like their negative would be if they cannot get scoring from all 4 lines. I think this is a team that needs to score on all their lines. And I think that might be something that caused a concern. But, I mean, it's been working for a lot of the season. But, just in case that if it doesn't, then I think that's a big problem. I think I still think they're a solid team. A lot of them are still from the 2019 Cup run. Yep. So, they have the experience, so they might know how to play in, high-stakes games. But, yeah, Minnesota. I said their positives, their top line. So, I think if their top line plays well, whatever, you can win. Yep. However, their negative is their injuries. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the top line, of course, Zuccarello is out. Right, so that kind of leaves other... you have to pull up... It was Fiala?
Are we talking...
Fiala might add in for Zuccarello's spot. But the injuries, they're definitely going to be a problem. And their goaltending, too, right? Minnesota, aside from Marc-Andre Fleury, of course, being a great goaltender, but Cam Talbot's still had the number 1 position, and he's deserved it. So it's going to be, to me, a battle of the goaltenders. They're going to be a bloodbath. These teams freaking hate each other, and they're going to beat each other to the ground. It's going to be a 7-game
fun series to watch.
These guys, to me, are so evenly matched. It's going to be a Game 7 OT win. Is it in Minnesota, or is it in St. Louis?
That would be in St. Louis. The Game 7.
Yeah, I think it'll be a Game 7 win.
I also do want to say these matchups that St. Louis won, they weren't just bombs. These were OT. Each game went to OT and was decided by one goal. And that was my
point. To me, these teams are so... Because they've been
back and forth
the entire season. They're so similar to each other. It just
it's insane.
I don't know. I say Minnesota because...
I say St. Louis.
The fans deserve it. And if it happens... It feels like it'll happen this year.
Yeah.
Even if it's one round win, Minnesota deserves it, man. They really do.
They do, but I still think St. Louis wins. I really do.
Okay,
because it's it's St. Louis for sure.
Colorado Nashville, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Colorado. Oh my God,
oh boy.
I thought the Flames versus Nashville would have been crazy. I think this round's going to be even more crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah, Curtis McDermott versus Borowiecki or Jeannot.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Boy.
The matchups in this series is going to be nuts. But I think this goes to game. I think this goes to 7 games.
Okay.
But I think
I like that. I love that. If this went to 7 games, man, oh my goodness.
Oh, this would be like a oh shit game for sure. And I still think the Avalanche take it. I wouldn't be surprised if Nashville takes it, but I think the Avalanche do.
Yeah.
I think the Avalanche still beat them in star power all around. Goaltending is a lot. This could be a goaltending battle, like above the ages for sure, because you have 2 really up-and-coming goaltenders that are very underrated in the league right now with Saros and Kemper, because Kemper looked like a Vezina caliber goaltender.
Yeah, Kemper is highly underrated, and this season proved it.
And Saros as well. Saros also had an amazing season, and no one really talking about it because they realized who else was out there. Yeah. But very underrated goaltender matchup for sure. Both of these teams have depth, like all around, and it's really good depth, but it's so hard to say because these teams are back and forth. Because in the regular season series against each other, Nashville took it 2-1.
Yeah.
And they versed each other 3 times, which was that was shocking to see. But I think this is going to be a bloodbath for sure, and I still think Avalanche take it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also think it's going to be a bloodbath. I say Colorado in 6, though, so pretty similar. I think they're going to be really hard games to win, all of them, all 6.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So for me, Nashville, if they're to win, for say, their positives is going to be their top scorers. So Matt Duchene is going to have to, keep playing. Forsberg, of course.
Yeah.
As well as, even Roman Josi, of course. I have no doubt that Roman Josi is going to have an outstanding playoff round.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But they're going to just have to be on their game. Their negative is no UC Saros. If he is injured for more than a few games, I just don't see David Riddick is able to be Big Save Dave, especially with a team that can score like nothing, like in Colorado. Now, Colorado, their depth, right, how they have depth in every position, similar to Florida, is why I think they will, they can pull it off.
Yeah.
They can score in all 4 lines, all that. And their defensive depth, of course, Josh Manson acquisition as well. Yeah. So it just really this team just looks so ready and fulfilled. But I said they're negative, getting in their heads. Because people are saying now online, they're like, okay, if they lose again, they're like the new Washington Capitals. And I do agree with you that, right? And it's like this team, I think, honestly has a bit of a
hump on their backs.
I think it's a bit of a mentality thing. I think that's why they lost to Dallas in 2020.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Because
Colorado never made it past the second round, have they?
I know, and they should have, right?
That's weird to think. Oh, my God.
That's why I think getting in their heads. So if they can just keep calm, cool, calm, and collected, Kemper can stay that way too. Colorado's got this in the bag, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I totally agree. But it might be a bloodbath of a series for sure.
Oh, speaking of bloodbath, this next series, I think they're going to kill each other.
This one should be fun.
They're going to like pull up with guns and Glocks. Like that's how much these teams are going to kill each other.
Oh yeah, so we have a Pacific Division matchup, and it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers versus the Los Angeles Kings. So in the regular season, the Oilers took it 3 games out of 4, and I think the Oilers win in 6.
Okay.
If you look, this is really hard because both teams on paper look really good, and then you look at their defense and it's like, gold. Yeah. So for LA, if you look at their positives, it's kind of forward depth because I think they beat them by forward depth a little bit, but not by much on Edmonton. Defense, they have a little bit better defense. It's so compatible. It's not good exactly in the sense, but they do beat them in goaltending because because they had that option A, option B scenario working for most of the season, and it worked really well because Quick was kind of being a mentor for him for sure. So I'd be very interested to see who they start in that series. And I think the biggest negative is if the goaltending doesn't perform and defense lacks. Yeah, that's probably the Kings' biggest lacks because you lost Drew Doughty in the during the season. He's gone, and you just like LA has the veteran leadership because they still have Kopitar and Dustin Brown who won cups and all that. With the youngsters, it'll be very useful. But then you look at Edmonton and just that star power is on a different level than what LA has. Yeah, their defense is lacking a bit and their goaltending. It really depends. This series really depends on Mike Smith. If he can play Mike Smith playoff mode, it's over. Yeah. I'm just saying that right now for Edmonton. If you guys can have Mike Smith have like his playoff form again, I think it's over. It ends in like 6. Like, yeah, that would be insane if he comes up. Go ahead.
So for me, I did Edmonton in 5.
Oh wow.
Kind of weird, hey? Like it'd be a quicker series, and it's the quickest one I picked for the first round. And I don't know. I feel like this is the time where Edmonton is gonna make it. So why do I say this? Edmonton. Okay, let's talk about them. It's going to be their forward depth. So, yeah, McDavid and Draisaitl are scoring a likes to assist on a lot of things, as well as Vander Kane. Man, that was a great acquisition. What an acquisition.
That was actually really good for them.
If he played a fully 2-game season, he would be on pace for 40 goals, right?
That would be nice.
And he's some great finishers, so there's a lot to that. Hyman's been scoring a little bit. Warren Foegele, he hasn't really scored too much, but I think he's been good to solidify kind of bottom line minutes and stuff.
Yep.
Derek Ryan, I miss him on the Flames. I wish he could be there to trade for the 4th line spot there, but
only if.
Oh man, even he's working under Woodcroft. Dude, Jay Woodcroft has turned this team to something else. It's crazy.
Yeah, much
I love
it. Coaching.
But yeah, it's their goaltending. Because the problem is what's going to happen is you can have Mike Smith win 100 games, but then he loses 1 or 2, and then he's just garbage for a little bit. And it's this inconsistency. Then you have to go back to Koskinen, but you can't let Koskinen play all the games. Exactly. He can only play a few. The 1-1B scenario is better in favor for LA. So I think goaltending is their problem. Funny enough, I talk about goaltending, I think that's going to be their strong point for LA. I think if Cal Peterson is probably going to, I'm guessing he plays before Quick, actually. I think he's going to, he can probably steal a game or 2. The one game they win, I think he steals it, per se.
Probably.
But I think they have the better goaltending side. Their goaltending has to be there. Their negatives, Drew Doughty's out. I think Drew Doughty is going to be more of a loss than we realize for playoff mode.
Oh, yeah.
They still have veteran leadership, but, I mean, heck, I can't say everything's terrible about their defense. Sean Dursey, Jordan Spence, 2 young players there.
Yeah.
And they also have a bottom pair of Alex Edler and Troy Stetcher, so old Canucks. But I don't know. I see Edmonton they're going to take some momentum. They have home ice advantage. They're going to just have the freaking arena rocking, right? Because Edmonton fans are crazy, man. They'll probably somehow help elevate the team. When they're going to win the first 2. LA wins game 3, and then Edmonton wins game 4, and then they win at home. That's why I see it. So I just think Edmonton's a better team all around. But for say goaltending becomes a problem for Edmonton and not for LA, yeah, it could be flipped around.
Oh, so, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Edmonton wins.
Huh, fair enough. And we go to our final series. Ooh. Our boys, the Calgary Flames, are versus the Dallas Stars. And if you look at this in a regular season point, they verse each other twice, and it's 1-1. But if you look at it all, Calgary takes it in 5. I think Calgary takes this game in 5s. And the reason for winning is depth play. If Calgary has been proving for the last few games that their depth is there, Dylan Dubé is a big part, in my opinion. I think he might prove a lot during this playoffs because he's been on a tear for scoring lately, and I love to see it because I kind of predicted it a little bit.
I know. It's got you, bro. I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect it, bro.
I kind of called that a little bit because he had that little slump, and now he's picking it up, which I love. I think the biggest reason, if Calgary in somehow any reason just collapses, it has to be the first line. Either a first line
Johnny Hockey doesn't show up. Yeah,
Johnny Hockey doesn't show up. Markstrom doesn't show up. I think it's over. But mostly that first line, and I think Calgary beats Dallas in almost every facet. On paper, if you look at the team, if you look how they played, it's going to be probably still a bloodbath for sure. But I still think Calgary takes it in 5 games. Justin,
so for me, I'm saying 7. Calgary wins at 7.
That would kill me.
The reason why
first round 7-0.
I think it's going to be a 7-game win for Calgary. I think this first round is going to be maybe it's gonna really set the tone for Calgary, because it's not gonna be easy no matter who you play. This is the only team with a negative goal differential. Dallas makes it hard on themselves, but Dallas can come out on top in some scenarios. So Dallas, for example, they're positive. If they're to win, it's the first line. Jason Robertson, sophomore, absolute beast. This dude is crazy good. If they can get that forward scoring, especially that top line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see them winning a few games. If they're negative, though, making their lives harder. Shout out to the hockey guy on YouTube. He says this a lot because he's a Dallas fan. He notices they really make their lives harder, where they'll like play a game and they'll like have to they'll be up in the game and then they'll tie it, and then it gets tied and then they win an OT. They just make it a lot more difficult for themselves, which of course I think will ultimately result in some losses, as well as I lost my train of. Oh my goodness, hold on.
He's having a tough time.
Oh man, my throat is killing me.
Don't worry, almost done.
I'll quickly go back to Dallas and that. I had another thing. Oh no, that's what it was. Their record at home isn't the strongest, so that means if Calgary can sneak some wins as well in Dallas, then maybe it goes before 7 games. But I think they're gonna honestly play hard and give a run for Calgary's money. Calgary's positive. Actually, you're saying something. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Calgary's positive. There's a lot, right? The forward lines, the forward depth, the goaltending with Markstrom. I said the defensive depth. I think the defense is going to be the reason why the Calgary does something in the playoffs. I think the defensive depth is showing that if it plays, Calgary really will look good, and it'll kind of prove a lot of people right.
A lot of people are kind of not noticing that with Calgary, because Calgary actually has one of the best defensive
underrated though, man. Like Shillington's one of the most improved. People have been saying that.
But if you look at it stat-wise, Calgary's defense have performed the best in the league lately.
It's been crazy.
Like, if you even just look at their penalty kill alone, it's insane the numbers they've put up through the season and just stop them. It's insane.
For sure.
Very underrated defensive core. I think it's still one of the best.
100%. 100%.
Okay, continue.
And their negative is like you were saying. I said lack of forward scoring, but I'm just going to switch that to first line scoring.
Yeah.
I think you can still maybe pop a few wins or two, but it's because of how important Kuzro, Kachuk, and Lindholm are. You see it with the 100 points and the 40 goals. So
they're the biggest factor of what this team does for the next few rounds.
And I think they're gonna stick around. Like I think it's gonna be all right, but yeah, they're gonna have to a big factor.
They're the boom or bust right now with these first 4 rounds. Yeah. But I still think we take it. I still think I have confidence in this team. They haven't truly shown that they have that little slump, but we did lose to Winnipeg the other day, so I'm like, eh.
Well, they didn't seem to have 100% effort. I think they were trying to rest themselves. More minutes to other players.
Yeah. They got the weekend off now, and they start Monday, and hey, it's playoff hockey. Anything can happen.
Flames start Tuesday. Oh, you meant the playoffs. Yeah.
Playoffs start Monday.
Yeah.
Flames play Tuesday.
Can't wait.
Got
a lot to talk about.
So excited. Lots to talk about. You guys are going to hear a lot from us over on social media for sure, and it should be very exciting the next couple weeks of playoff hockey for sure. Tristan, you got anything else to say before we start heading out?
We'll wrap it up in perfect. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my raspy voice here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video or podcast today. If you liked it, hit the like button, maybe comment as well. Follow us on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Buzzsprout. And thanks for all the support, guys, and I'll leave it off for B-Dog here to finish it off.
Yes. We did actually start a TikTok. We're posting a little bit more there as well. Have some funny vids on there. It's pretty funny for sure. If you guys have liked this video, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts on what you think the playoffs will end up being or who will win the cup. Like Tristan said, we're already on Spotify, Buzzsprout, and all those social media, Instagram as well. And we thank you guys so much for tuning in. And this is going to be one hell of a month. It's going to be one hell of a month or two for sure. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.